In this video, we're going to be going over rentals in ThunderPOS for Windows, how to create them, how to actually rent items out, how to return them, and how to charge a late fee. So we're going to flip over here. You can see we're in ThunderPOS at the moment. So the first step, if you're wanting to set up a rental, let's say we have a game that we want to rent copies of or a movie that we want to rent copies of. We need to make sure that we've set up the sell-through item. Rentals are tracked individual copies that you rent out, but you have to have an inventory item to sell that they're attached to. It'll inherit some of the information from that item. It'll group all the copies of the same thing together in your reports and records. And also it's what you will charge if they don't return the item. So if we go here to, just you would add it as a standard item, but if we just go here, we're going to just pick something out that we're going to use as a sell through. We'll just call it sell through just to show it. You would put in, if this was Madden or if this was a particular movie or record, we would put that information in. And then you can have a number of that are in stock to sell, because this could very well be that you're renting copies of something that you're also selling. That's totally fine. So we'll just do it new here. So then we've got this item here. You can set your department category, all the normal stuff you can do with an item. So then if we go and we want to set up rental copies, in order to do that, we just go to store and then to rentals. And then you can either scan or search or see a list of items that have rental copies. In this case, we'll just scan it because I remember the number, but you can search for it the way you normally would, all of that sort of thing. So you can see right now we don't have any rental copies of this item. We just set this up. So the easiest way to generate copies is to hit this button that says auto generate copies. And you can just say how many you want to make. You can make up to 10 at a time. We'll say we're going to make 2. And then you say how much the rental price is for how many days. So let's say we're going to charge $3 to rent it for 2 days. And then we're going to charge a $2 per day late fee. So the late fee is always per day, but the rental price in days to rent, so the $3 covers those first 2 days, and then the late fee will be per day that it's late. So you can then set a department category. The department category can be separate for rentals from what it is for the main sell-through item. That's so that you can easily group all your rental sales together. You can also have different tax rates. Some states do not charge sales tax on rentals, or they charge a different sales tax rate on rentals than they do on selling an item. In which case, if that applies to you, then that's how you would handle that. You can also set the rental copies to be age restricted, especially if you have to check IDs for rentals. You may want to do that. In this case, we won't do it, but it works the same as age restrictions anywhere else in the software. So then we're just going to hit OK here, and it's going to automatically generate those copies for us and add them. So now we can see what we've got here. So you can see we've got individual item IDs for each of these items. You can set up different copies with different rental periods if that's something you want to do. And then you can see here on this grid, we've got a due date, status, which is S because they're both in the store right now, and then the customer ID. And that customer ID will be the most recent customer to whom it was rented. Because we just created these copies, that's just blank here. You can hit print label to print out barcodes that'll go on the individual copy so that you scan it and you've got the right copy and everything. And you can also set up change selected copy. You can change all copies if you want to change pricing information. You can set prices different on individual copies using change selected copy. So I'm just going to, I don't actually have a scanner here, so I'm just going to copy down this first barcode. You can search for it the way you would normally do with items, but I would like to just have it on there. So then at the register here, you'll notice if I tried to sell this item, it's going to tell me that I have to select a customer. So you have to use customer information and customer accounts in order to do rentals, much like orders. That's because otherwise you wouldn't know who they were associated with. So if we just select a customer here, so we'll just select one of me here. And then we try that again so you can see I'm selected. You can see we've now added this item here. If we complete the transaction, which I did not mark it as taxed, so it's not taxed. If we complete the transaction, on the receipt, it will have the due date. I don't have a receipt printer here, so we won't see that. But if we go and we now take a look on our reports section, under rentals, you can see current, past due, the rental items in store, and the history. If you look at current rentals, among the items on this list will be right here. This top one is due on the 29th, which is 2 days from today at the time of recording, to me. And then if we look at past due rentals, which we've got a few in this database, you can see we've got a number just set up here that are past due that were not returned. If we look at the history of a rentals, we can just look for today. You'll actually see when it was rented, when it's due, the individual items and whether it's been returned yet or not and everything like that. So you can run that for a time period to view all of that. So then to actually return the rental, let's say that that person has brought that back, we'll just hit the rentals button here on the left, and then you scan that item again, and it's going to tell us that it's being returned on time and press OK to return. You can change the return date to, like if you have a drop box and it needs to be returned the previous day, you can do that. You can also say it's in the future if you need to for some reason. And it's going to charge a late fee. So you can see that once we set that to be returned on Friday, on the 31st, that would be 2 days late. So you can see that it is charging the $2 late fee we charged for 2 days, and it's on there for $4. So we could pay that out. Usually that's not used to return things in the future. You would return things previously. But if you have some sort of cutoff period where things not in by a certain day or a certain time of day are considered, out for the next day, sort of like check-in time or check-out time at a hotel, you can enforce it using that mechanism. But let's go ahead and rent that item again. So if we grab that item and rent it back out, because right now it's been brought back in the store. So if we rent it back out again, and we check it out, and then some other customer attempts to rent the same copy, not a different copy of the same item, but the same copy, it will warn us that it has already been rented and you have to return it before you can rent it again. So only one customer can have a particular copy of an item out at a time. And then if we go and we look at the grid again, so we go back to rentals here and we look back at this, in addition to it being on reports, you can see that we now can see, right now this particular copy is R for rented. It's due on the 29th and it's to this particular customer. And this other copy is in the store. So that's a way, if somebody is asking if you have a copy available, you can quickly look it up and see without necessarily having to go anywhere else. So that's all pretty straightforward. The big thing is just making sure that you're returning these rentals and that you are generating the rental copies the way you want them. Make sure that you set it up where the late fee is your daily late fee. It won't be for the same period of time as the initial rental period. It's per day. And of course, once the late fee is on the invoice, if you have permission to and need to change it, you absolutely can. Um, Thank you for watching. If you have any questions, give us a call. We're happy to answer any questions or give a demo. If you're wanting to see how this works within the back office, there's a separate video up on that.